we go. So I've decided to dig down a little bit, and the extent of this stump is revealed. It's quite a massive piece of wood. So at the moment what I'm doing is I'm drilling down. So I've managed to clear all that. That was a big job, about 12 trips to the tip. Right, ladies and gentlemen, thought I'd just show you what I'm up to here. So I've dug out the stump and I've drilled some holes and I've put some vegetable oil in those holes to let it soak. And the idea is I've built a small fire pit using these flags that go all the way around to protect everything that we've got around the pond. I don't want to burn anything needlessly, and the aim isn't to burn the top. The aim is to burn around the bottom and then hopefully burn it out, and I can literally pull it out. It's not necessary to burn the whole thing. Hello everyone, I'm by the pond. It's getting quite dark, but I thought I'd do a quick video about removing a stump. So how can you remove a stump? There's quite a few methods, and I thought I'd talk you through the various ways. Obviously you can hire a JCB digger, cost you £500 a day. You can buy these grinding machines that grind the top off. However, when they start hitting the soil, you'll blunt the blade, and if you're hiring it, it could cost you a bit of money. That same is true with a chainsaw. Another method is obviously drilling holes and putting bleach, salts or some sort of stump killer in, letting it die over a period of 12 months. But obviously it's not immediate, it's not quick, it's something you have to wait for nature to take its course. And obviously for the thing to die off. Obviously I'm not someone that likes to kill nature at all. I was really hesitant to cut the tree down because, you know, I get birds coming in and nesting in it. But it's become a nightmare with the pond, where I get too much of the fern leaves in there, and I'm constantly cleaning the skimmer out, and it's become a nightmare. So I've decided enough is enough and to get rid of it. So back to what I was talking about in regards to get rid of the stump. My suggestion is you need to dig deep around it, and if it's too big you may have to consider burning it. My recommendation in terms of doing this, and there's many examples online, is you drill some holes, put some oil in. You could use all sorts of different types of oil, olive oil, vegetable oil, diesel, anything really, and that will help it burn obviously. And then put some charcoal or wood around it and let it burn. Now a lot of the videos you will see on YouTube will be showing you what they do is essentially put the fire on top of the stump at ground level. They've cut it down to the ground level and they let it burn, and it'll kill a lot of it to basically ashes. However, it's not really an ideal solution. I have removed stumps before where you have to dig deep around it and pull it out, but some stumps are so massive you can't do that. So what I'm doing with this stump is I am actually digging about 2 foot down to where I get to some of the big roots, and then we're going to put like create a fire pit and burn that stump, and hopefully because of the way I've put like loads of flags around it to protect it. I've seen some people use like a metal barrel, cut the bottom out and put that on top of the stump, and then put all the material on top of that. That seems a good way of containing the fire in a set place, because you may be near a wall, or you may be too near your pond, or you may be near a barn where you don't want to possibly set that alight, so you want to contain the fire in a particular place. So the main methods of removing this stump is you can burn it, you can use all sorts of weed killer derivatives. Some people have used salts, bleach, but all those things you could say is quite harmful to nature, especially if you want to put a plant in where you killed the tree, and if you're using chemicals to do that, that could be problematic. Or pull it, literally brute force and pull the thing out. If you've got some trees nearby, you can attach a ratchet system to it and potentially rip the thing out via using another tree. But if you haven't got anything to use as leverage, there are some sort of leverage machines, systems that you can buy or rent that can do that as well. But again, the higher cost can be quite high for those machines. So essentially, I think the main quick methods, well, I won't call them quick methods, is pull it out, dig it out, burn it, or use chemicals. But the chemical method is a long process. You're talking a good year before it's pretty much dead for you to pull out. And I've noticed that some of these roots are massive, you know, in the ground. Because when I was digging out the pond, I came across some of the small roots that obviously were from that tree. I didn't want to cut this tree down. I really didn't, you know, because it's a habitat for wildlife. But I'm thinking that it's become such a mess and a pain in the butt to deal with. I'd rather get rid of the tree and put something in its place, like a nice bush. I've actually got a bush over there by the garage that I'm thinking about relocating it and putting it in its place. And then there's always a possibility of expanding the small pond. I could potentially make the small pond a bit bigger, maybe have a big stream, I don't know. I'm sort of not thinking about doing that this year though, because as some of you guys have alluded to in my previous videos, I'm looking at potentially doing something with this pond. Now, I originally was going to just expand the internal part of the pond, because as you know, there's some shelves, some stones, and some you know, plants in there, some lilies, you know. And I was thinking, a lot of people did comment on earlier videos, oh, I won't put stone in that will be hard to clean and it could contaminate your pond. And I'm thinking, yeah, but would you like to be in an empty room with nothing to entertain yourself? Just think about the fish, you know. And I think having stones in your pond, it adds beneficial bacteria to your pond, because they've got some surface area to grow on, and then any sort of waste material they can consume, and that's good for your pond. Just like the wetland filter box I've built, same principle, you know. And you get like a biofilm that grows on the boulders and helps with the ammonia levels in your pond. So, you know, just because you can't see plant life on the rocks don't mean it isn't there. So that's something I think is quite important. But what I'm contemplating doing is cutting some of the shelves off completely, digging down a little bit, widening the internal part of the pond. And this is one thing I haven't mentioned that some of you guys might be interested in knowing. But let me show you the pond and I'll show you what I mean. That what I'm thinking about doing is cutting down that pond, that part of the sleepers from here, cutting it straight down to the floor. Over here, about here, cutting straight down to the floor. Move this section out to about here. Now we're gaining probably about ½ meter this way, and my intention is not to dig down into the floor here. So we'll have about a water level about that high here. What that means is all this area here is an ideal place to put the plants, put some of the rocks on, and then the rest of the pond is basically bare and empty, apart from maybe a bit of gravel on the floor of the pond. And it makes the pond a lot wider, just by 50 centimetres. So instead of being 1.5 metres wide, it becomes 2 metres wide. So, let me know what you think. Would that be a good idea? What I could do is get some of these flags that I've got around the stump for a temporary fire pit, and re-flag this area here. You know, so you just imagine, you know, just imagine the pond comes out here. I've got some more flags here, so I've got a flag here, and I walk along like this around. So, you know, and that wouldn't be a big job to do. You know, I could buy probably a couple of sleepers, and that would do the job. There's a nice company in West Yorkshire, guys, that will cut the sleepers for you as well for a small fee. I think it's £2.50. I'll put a link in the description box if you want to check them out. Their sleepers are reasonably priced. You know, you do have a delivery charges with most things, but they do allow collection. So I thought I'd just talk you through my sleepers, where I got them from. So I got them from a company called Yorkshire Sleeper Sawmill. They're in Wetherby, 192 Thorpe Arch Estate, LS 23 7BJ. Their phone number is 01937843912. I'll put all the information in the description box if you want to check them out. They're quite reasonable. They tend to charge you by the mile, but I think my charge ended up being around £45 for, I think it was about 10 sleepers or something like that. And they're quite reasonably priced, if I'm honest with you. If you can compare them to the likes of B&Q and Wickes, they're pretty much on par, except with those places they tend to be treated with a green treatment. These are treated with a brown treatment, which is more pleasing to the eye, looks nicer. So I prefer the brown treatment that they use, and it sort of ties in with the colour of the roof and everything I've built. So that's why I went for brown treatment, and they're quite reasonable. So I just wanted to give them a shout out. You know, just check them out. You know, they're reasonably priced, and always a good relationship with them. They also cut the sleepers for you. So if you need a particular size cutting, for £2.50 a cut, they'll cut it for you. And they're not just doing any cut, they do a complete vertical straight cut, that's perfectly straight, that you can't really replicate with your own saws at home, because they use specialised equipment. So I just wanted to give them a bit of a shout out, so you guys can go over there, check them out, because you know, if you want just a little bit, a little amount of sleepers, they'll allow you to come and collect it. You know, so if you've got a small car and you only need some small pieces and you want them to cut it for you, they can do that for you, and you can come and collect it. They're only open between Monday and Friday. However, I think it's between 9 and 5 o'clock, something like that. But they communicate via email quickly, no problems. A good company to deal with, no problems there. So that's where I got all my sleepers with. I think the initial cost for my sleepers was something like £600 at the time. I've been looking at prices recently. They're around the £17 to £22 price mark, something like that. So go and check them out. So that's as much as I can do today, because it's getting quite dark. But when I've got a good day and the stump has had a good chance to soak that oil in, that's at the point where I think we'll burn it. But I'm not going to burn it all the way through. I'm just going to burn around it for a little while, just so it gets a good amount of burn on it that allows me to chop it up and pull it out. I don't really need a big roaring fire. But you could potentially, I suppose, go and get yourself one of those metal burning things that you can buy from B&Q and cut the bottom out and put it on top of the actual stump, and then put all your material on top and burn it like that. But I do recommend that you dig out the stump a little bit before you think about burning it, because you want the whole thing to burn. Don't just burn the top, because there's a good chance you won't get all of it if you do that. But you'll get the majority of it if you've dug some of it out. Anyway, thought I'd just talk about that briefly. Again, do check out the sawmill. Fantastic communication. You know, when you notice good customer service is when they respond to you very quickly the same day, and that means a lot to me. Customer service is king, and it should be never underestimated. When you got to send a message to a company and they don't bother replying for 3 days, that doesn't say much about customer service. But when a company literally replies to you, I think I got a response literally first thing in the morning. That's good service, you know. So thank you, Sleeper Sawmill, for responding quickly. I do appreciate that. And my plan is, like I've just shown you, I plan on extending the pond a little bit out. So I don't know, I'm thinking maybe some 3 pieces either side, cut to about 70 centimetres, something like that, and then cut out the section that's on the side of the pond, and then just pull it out and then attach the new sleepers to it. As with everything, pond building, it gets expensive. You know, I've spent a fortune recently, you know, and, you know, buying drills and batteries and tools and saws. I've had to buy a new grinder, about 3 new blades for it, right, which was about £100 there. I got a new power drill because all my electric ones keep dying all the time. You know, those 1.8 volt batteries, they don't last very long, do they? So I had to get rid of that. Well, I didn't got rid of it, but I just thought it's just not powerful enough, you know. I did have one box drill that I actually dropped in the pond just for a few seconds, pulled it straight out, but ever since then it's completely knackered. So when I put these batteries on, these 1.8 volt batteries, they've stopped working after a while. So note to self, don't drop a drill in a pond, because it probably won't work after a while. I thought once I dried it out and fired it off, see if it would still work. It sort of was a bit temperamental. It would work sometimes, won't work other times, and I think I've fried 2 batteries using that drill. So note to self, don't drop your nice drill in the pond. Anyway, hopefully my mistakes you learn from, and maybe it's a good idea you keep your drill on the ground away from the pond rather than on the side of it where it can get knocked in. I'm sure you've got kids playing around the pond that might knock it in, and you don't want to fry good equipment, do you? So I thought I'd just leave it there. So I've ordered some charcoal. I think that's arrived today. So we're gonna let the stump soak in a little bit, and I'll put some charcoal around it, and then I've got some pieces of wood lying around that I've got some pieces of wood that you would normally have for, you know, one of those indoor fire things, and I'll put that around it as well to add the combustion element, because you need fuel to burn the stump. Sometimes you may have to burn it a few times as well. So I think we'll leave it there because it's getting dark. Sorry I've rambled on a bit today, but that's life, innit? Things happen. And again, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who have subscribed to the Yorkshire Koi YouTube channel, big thank you. Those of you who have subscribed to my Canon Lenses and Cameras YouTube channel, current subscribers stands at 2,404, I think, subscribers at the moment. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. It's sort of growing slowly as I do my photography videos, so big thank you. And if any of you are actually wondering, what equipment do I use to film? Because I know a lot of people out there use mobile phones, which in my opinion is don't use mobile phones for filming. No good. It's always not, the quality is always poor. Low light capabilities is poor. In dark, it's horrible. You know, in low light conditions, mobile phones are terrible. So what do I use? I use the Canon R6. Amazing camera, 20 megapixels. I use, what lens do I use? I use a 24 to 105 IS STM lens, and it's a 3.5 to 5.6 apertured lens. Great lens. It's not weather sealed, but it is a really nice budget lens. I highly recommend you get it if you've got any sort of SLR camera or mirrorless camera, that you can adapt it, because it's an STM. So obviously when I put my hand to it and it focuses, and I put my hand away to my face, it focuses. You can't hear that autofocus motor because it's silent. That's why I love these STM lenses. They're great. Anyway, yeah, so I'm thinking about upgrading to the R5 at some point. 45 megapixel camera, but we're waiting to see what happens with Sigma. Will Sigma bring any RF lenses out? We don't know yet. We're still waiting, as well as Tamron, and waiting to see if Canon will relent and allow third-party manufacturers to make camera lenses. There's rumours and misinformation going all over the place, such as ordinary filmmaker making claims about stuff that is irrelevant. He constantly keeps making things up, making mistakes, taking over people's information as gospel, and then it turns out that's wrong. One thing I absolutely hate is people that go on YouTube and make things up that isn't real, and then you find out what they said wasn't true. I just can't stand people that make things up. So thank you for watching. Have a nice day, and I'll see you in the next installment when we start to burn that. Bye bye.